Hello, everyone. This is Henny Espinosa with Just Wish Foundation. Today, we are joined by Dr. Taifara Melele, the Executive Director of Camp Pheonix, which provides what they describe as the most lit summer ever for young people in Oakland, California. Thank you so much for joining us on Just Wish Foundation, Taifara.
Thank you so much for having me, Henny. It's an honor to be here.
Of course, it's our pleasure. So, tell us a little bit about Camp Pheonix and how it was founded in 2012 by three dedicated education professionals who believe that every kid from Oakland, regardless, of their circumstances, no matter their access to resources, they all deserve to have a meaningful summer. So, tell us about the beginnings of Camp Pheonix.
Absolutely. So, three educators that were Teach for America teachers, they got together and remarked on how their most formative youth experiences for themselves were summer camp. And the kids they were teaching didn't have access to something like that. And they were like, well, how do they become who they're going to be if they don't have something like this? So they got together and founded Camp Pheonix. They didn't quite reflect the background of the kids that they served. And so after a few years of working, they decided to go ahead and look for the first ED that wasn't one of the founders, and somebody who could look more like the kids and who sees the value in education and the outdoors. I had actually, I'm from South Central LA, and I was gifted with the opportunity to go to a boarding school in Southern California where we were exposed to camping trips that lasted 6 to 10 days at a time. And the experiences I got to have in the outdoors gave me a sense of self-efficacy. And so when I was presented this opportunity, it made perfect sense to come on over and help other kids get that same experience.
So tell us a little bit about the population that your organization serves and why it's so important to provide them with these services.
So initially the thought was there's a lot of summer learning loss. So kids who don't have summer opportunities sort of have this thing called a summer slide, and each year they were getting farther and farther behind. And so they tried to reimagine summer school so that the kids could be outside and have fun and play, but also be reading and doing experiential math and things like that so that they don't fall behind. For many years, 95% or more of our kids would make several months of gains in 3 weeks of our camp. So they would gain in reading and in math. More recently, we're shifting our focus a little bit to just the experience of being outside and playing, and also socialization, because middle schoolers, they experienced the pandemic and they didn't get outside. They didn't get to see each other. And when we came back to camp in 2022, things were a lot different. And they struggled to relate to each other. There was a lack of trust and a fear. And so most of the time we were doing our restorative justice practices, and social emotional learning just became extremely important for the kids to be able to live and work together at camp. And so now resilience, social emotional learning are a deeper focus. We still will be doing our reading program because they love, kids love reading, and we read a novel together at camp, and that's a lot of fun. But we are focusing now more on resilience, social emotional learning, and working together collaboratively to re-socialize the kids who have spent that time in the pandemic and now need to be able to be out in the world and take the mask off. A lot of kids didn't even take the mask off after the pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're getting them out there and getting them off screens.
Yeah.
Because that seems to have become a bit of a crutch for a lot of our youth.
Wow. Yeah. For a lot of people, actually, but especially for kids who've been cooped up in those few years, it's so let's talk about that. Encouraging them to really explore the great outdoors. Let's talk about your overnight summer camp and how this gives kids the opportunities not just to explore their surroundings, but also to discover their strengths.
Yes, yes, that is something that we love to hear kids talk about is they discover what they're good at, because they get to try lots of different things. It's not just, sitting at a classroom trying to study and using their head. They have to use their heart and their bodies at camp. The new site that we have moved from a site that was 100 acres in Half Moon Bay to a 1,000-acre site in Portola Valley. The new site is completely accessible, so we'll be able to serve a lot more kids, and staff, for that matter, who have different needs. And we get to offer more amenities finally.
Mm.
So the kids get to practice archery, which a lot have expressed interest in. They get to practice kayaking because there's a very large pond at this new camp. There's also a giant swimming pool, and that's their number one activity at camp is swimming.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they have a full basketball court, gaga ball, which is a new kind of thing that the kids just go gaga for. Um, and yeah, lots of different activities. And then we'll still be doing our resilience activities where we talk about our experiences and how we've been resilient in the past and how we're going to continue to be so. And it's especially important to me as I see a lot of changes ahead, climate change, both environmentally, but also politically. Things are changing fast, and we need our kids to be able to have tools to withstand those changes. So we're doing, I recently certified as a meditation teacher so that I can help the kids learn how to ground themselves and get back to an equilibrium no matter what's going on in the outside
Yeah.
world. So activities like that will build resilience for our youth. We're
Yeah.
also, and you're going to be the first person to hear this, we're also partnering with an organization to teach kids how to grow food at home.
Mm.
There's I guess you call it hydroponics, where you can actually grow food in
Yeah.
your house,
Yeah.
and you
In a
don't
small space, like it
in a
doesn't matter if you have a big space. It's so amazing when that anyone can do it basically.
anyone can do it. And
Yeah.
so we're partnering with a scholar at UC Santa Cruz
That's
to
great.
help all the kids get a tower that
Yeah.
they can put in their home, just in the corner somewhere, and start to grow food. And so that they'll be able to build a different kind of resilience to withstand the changes that come.
That's great because when I was looking, I was reading information about you guys, there's a lot of feedback from the kids saying that the camp is their safe space. Can you tell us a little bit more of why they feel that and why you would want them to feel that?
I think they feel that because, our staff are trained to love on our kids, right? We create a space of safety. We don't tolerate bullying or anything like that. You come in here, this is a place where you can be yourself. So they give themselves a nickname. My nickname for camp is Wakanda. And so a lot of the kids don't know my real name. They all think of me as Wakanda, and they give themselves a new name, and they sort of just bring that new identity to camp, and everybody honors it. And we just teach teamwork and collaboration so that there's nobody left behind and there's nobody who is feeling ostracized by any group.
Yeah.
Middle school is a tough time, and it can go either way with middle schooler. So we're intentionally working to give them a place where it's safe to be them. Another reason why I think it's safety is because all of our kids qualify for free and reduced lunch. It's not a situation where there's kids who can afford camp and who are in a high socioeconomic status, and then our kids come in with a scholarship feeling different. That was my experience actually when I went to boarding school and college and whatnot. And so they're with kids that are just like them. And there's no sense of stratification among the youth.
Yeah.
I think that creates a sense of safety too. And we bring kids from different environments so that they're all new to each other.
Yeah.
And make these bonds that last a very long time, because they're spending so much time together, and we're talking about heavy things a lot, and dealing with stuff that as it comes up and when it comes up. they have each other. They have someplace outside of school, outside
Yeah.
of, what's going on there, and they can come to their community. And then they can come and hang out with us all year long,
Yeah.
on weekends.
So let's talk about that because when summer ends, the fun never ends for you guys because you guys have weekend activities. So tell us about those activities.
Yeah, absolutely. So we go at this point we exclusively go to coastal places. So the water is a very calming, loving place
Yes, I
to
would
be.
have to agree. Water really is a truly healing place, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So this season we're going to places like Keller Beach, Point Reyes National Seashore. We're going to head to Santa Cruz. We're going to head to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. That's always a favorite. Trying to think what else. We're gonna have a cookout right here in Crown Beach,
Oh.
next to Oakland, so that families can join us too. We like to
Mhm.
do that so it's not just us and the kids, but that the families know us and hang out with us as well. And that's always fun. So in that one, we stay put. For everything else, we get on the trail and go hiking,
Uh-huh.
and at a reasonable pace. So that the kids can get some exercise
Yeah.
too. And we stop and eat lunch together and do some camp songs and things like that. And then we hike back out. So it's pretty low key, but it's just nice to see each other again,
Yeah.
you and to be in community,
Yeah.
and then to see a place they haven't seen before. Because a
Yeah.
lot of kids haven't gone to, and most, I would say a lot of residents, especially when you're local, haven't been to all of the local sites. They haven't been to the
Mhm.
beautiful parks and the beautiful beaches that we have to offer here.
Mhm.
So we try to make sure they see as many as possible.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that make Camp Phoenix so special is, of course, your staff and how they also come from the same backgrounds as the campers, right?
Yes, we intentionally hire, and that's why how I was hired is they said it's time to give the kids some familiarity in that aspect. And so we intentionally hire youth who come from similar backgrounds to be our counselors. I like to think of those staff as also youth that we serve
Mhm.
because, they're 25 years younger than I am. And they're 18 to 24, 25. And a lot of them have never been to camp. A lot of them
Yeah.
have never been to these places. And so we are preparing them to be calm and have an equilibrium out in nature for the first time as well. Because we were founded in 2012, now we're at the point where a lot of our former campers are eligible to be counselors. You have to be 18 to be a counselor, but we have a lot of kids who have grown up now. And so not only do they look like the kids, but they used to be campers at Camp Phoenix. And that is really lovely because they care about the camp and they want to, protect our legacy and our joy of camp. And so they teach that to the kids from their heart. It's not just a job. They're like,
Mhm.
hey, I was here when I was 11 and 10 or 12, and I love this camp, and this is what we do here, and things like that. So that part has been really amazing to see them all grown up, and now they're the staff of the camp.
That's great. That's great. And it's like paying it forward too, because you've experienced this from camp and then now you're trying to pass it on to the younger generation, which is great. Giving them that opportunity to also like pass forward or pass it on to
Yeah.
the younger generation. So you are an award-winning lecturer from UC Berkeley. Teaching is really your background and it's in your blood. But what kind of experience or learnings did you get from being part of Camp Phoenix?
Well, Camp Phoenix was a gift to me because after academia, I actually went and was a principal for a while. So I was administrator for a school in West Oakland for kids who, or I would say youth, who had left school for whatever reason and were coming back to get their diploma. So they were actually adults. And that was a beautiful experience. But it was very difficult to navigate what it is I believe is important to teach in a very bureaucratic school setting,
Mhm.
right? State funded, reports, numbers, metrics. And the metrics that they cared about weren't the metrics that I cared about, right? I care about, do you feel like you belong in the outdoors? Do you
Hmm.
feel safe out here? Do you feel like the community we've created cares about you and your
Mhm.
community and your background and your culture? Do you think you will be a steward for the environment in the future? Um, do you, you know, do you feel more confident about yourself? And do you
Mhm.
feel confident about the future?
Yeah.
Those are the questions. Those are the things that I want to be measured on.
Mhm.
Not this particular test that
Yeah.
someone else created to determine the success of our youth. And I would argue that these questions that we are asking are more important for the youth that we serve.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense of confidence? Do you have community? Do you feel like you can withstand changing times in the future? So for me, it's really important to shift over from a more um, institutional
Yeah.
setting to be
Yeah.
able to go outside. My very first meeting at Camp Phoenix, staff meeting, was at Half Moon Bay State Beach, and we all had camp chairs, and we were starting to set our goals for the year. And I was like, I'm home. I'm at the beach at my first staff meeting, and it blew me away. It
Yeah.
absolutely blew me away.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a wonderful pivot, and it's a really great way to give back and to create, future leaders.
For sure. It's teaching life lessons.
Yeah.
It's really, really more important. Besides teaching kids how to grow their own food, which is
To
what you guys are excited about, with your community partners, what are you looking forward to this year?
this year. Well, that's huge. Because our partner we're working on a grant together to get a shipping container. One shipping container can grow 2 football fields worth of food.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's exciting. Very exciting. So
Wow.
that's a big thing. I'm also excited to get back to Point Reyes. That's one of our happy places, and show them what's in their backyard.
Yeah.
Um, in addition to some of these places, we also tend to, and it's not on our calendar this year, but I'm going to squeeze it in the fall. Um, when our next fiscal year begins. Redwood Regional Park is right here in Oakland, in the backyard. And I don't think people know there's a giant redwood forest
Oh,
sitting
wow.
right here in Oakland, California. So I want to make sure they
I
see that.
didn't know that.
Oh,
Wow.
you
I want to
didn't?
explore that now.
They're old, they're beautiful, old
Wow.
growth, gorgeous redwoods sitting right here at home. And speaking of resilience, this is the tree that is fireproof. The sequoia and the redwood can withstand fire, and so we talk about that when we when we head out there,
Great. That's
and
great.
talk about resilience
Yeah.
and what it means to be like these trees here at home.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm very excited about taking them there. And I'm excited to get back out there. Camp Phoenix had to take a reset year in 2023 because I told you, there's a lot going on with the pandemic, post-pandemic, and we had to shift our curriculum a little bit and, meet the times. Our kids really struggled with getting back together, and we weren't quite prepared for the amount of restorative justice we had to we had to engage in. So we did a reset year to recalibrate and redefine what is Camp Phoenix. And that's when we came up with, let's double down on resilience. Let's double down on that. So I'm excited about a new curriculum and a new space. Like I said, that is accessible, so that we don't have to turn anyone away, and more spacious, more land. And the cabins are bigger, and there's bathrooms in the cabins now,
Oh, nice.
which the kids are gonna flip over. So it's a little more luxurious, and
Yeah.
it's what they deserve, right? They should have the best of the best. So I'm excited to bring that to them this year.
That's so great. That's a lot to look forward to this year. And we're just excited that we got to know you guys and we get this opportunity to also help support you guys. And I hope more and more people also hear about Camp Pheonix and will also do their part to help the kids, because like you said, these are life lessons that you guys are teaching the kids. You're teaching the kids not only to thrive and discover their passions, discover themselves, but to really be resilient. I think that's really a key characteristic. That's a key word, especially in this ever-changing world that we are a part of. Resilience is a must, and being self-sufficient is also a must, such as that, growing your own food. I mean, all of these life lessons will surely equip them with what they need to really be their best selves, as we move forward. So thank you so much, Typhara. Thank you so much to Camp Pheonix. We appreciate you guys, and more power to you guys. And summer is coming up, and we're just so excited for you guys.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to meet you and to be here today.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Enjoy the sun.
You too.
Bye. Thanks.